Welcome to the Death Happens podcast, an insider's guide to dying. We're your insiders. I'm hospice nurse Penny.
And I'm Hallie, hospice social worker. Today we have Andrew White. We're so excited, otherwise known as the Planty Murse, and we'll let him explain that social media handle to you. But first, I know Penny has a hot topic for us, and I am very intrigued about this one.
Yeah, so there was a video going around on TikTok, and I actually stitched it and added my own take to it. The patient was a man, and he was in the hospital, and he had his wife there with him like 24/7, and she was really exhausted. So he got up and sat in the recliner and let her lay down in the hospital bed so she could take a nap. And there was so much hate in the comments on that video. People saying, I never would have allowed that. She should not have done that. He should have, been able to stay in the bed. He's the one who's sick. He's the one who's dying. And of course, my take on that is
bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah. I mean, maybe he didn't want to be in the bed. And so often we do have patients who don't want to be in the bed. And especially if they have breathing problems. And I believe he had lung cancer, so he would have had breathing problems. Sitting up is so much more comfortable for people that
I love that you explained that it's not just that he was being a loving, compassionate husband, which is totally the case, I'm sure, but also that a lot of our patients don't want to be just laying in a bed, or it's more uncomfortable for them to be in the bed.
Right. I've had patients, and you probably have too, Hallie, who died in their recliner.
Absolutely.
They live in their recliner. I've had patients who wanted to sleep in their own bed, and we'd bring a hospital bed in that they could be in during the day, and then at night they'd go sleep in their own bed. I had a patient who died right next to her husband in their bed. Ideally, we do want people to be in a hospital bed for care. In fact, my agency will, we only do like a sponge bath or hands and face bath for people who are declining the offer of what we call them actually an adjustable bed now, because we're trying to get away from the language of hospital bed.
We are too.
Yeah, I've had so many patients who, they push back just as soon as you say hospital bed, they start pushing back. But, they're concerned, and they've actually voiced this to me. Once I get in the bed, I'm never going to get back out again. And I always will remind them, it's just a piece of furniture. That's all. And in fact, it's going to help them get out of the bed because they can raise the head of the bed up, and they can lower it down so they're closer to the ground. They've got the side rails they can pull up that they can, get out with using the side rail. So it's actually more convenient. It actually will help them to maintain their mobility for longer.
Exactly.
But people are just mean. They're just mean.
Trolls be trolling out here. I mean,
trolls be trolling. Trolls be trolling. Troll bitches be troll bitches. It's like, this comment is being left on a video made by the daughter, who is now grieving because he did die.
Right.
And and one of the daughters was just kind of like, fuck you, I don't care. And the other one was like, my dad would be mortified if he saw these comments, and I feel like I need to explain this. And it's unfortunate. She's grieving the loss of her dad and feeling like she needs to defend his honor and defend her mother, who's still alive too. She might see those comments and be like, oh, I would even almost wonder if the mom was already second guessing herself and think. And then you see comments like that and you start to think, oh my gosh, wow, that was terrible. I should have let him stay in the bed. So,
and it discourages other people from sharing their beautiful experiences, which is just the bitch of it all, right?
Right. And can we talk about autonomy? I mean, he wanted to get out of the bed and give it to his wife. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's not like she pulled him out of the bed and put him in the recliner.
Right. And laying in a hospital bed for a long period of time, especially in a hospital, the atmosphere isn't that great, it can actually cause people to have more pain.
Yeah.
If they don't get up and move around. So
Ugh. Well, I'm glad they did what they needed to do for them, and hopefully people, good-hearted people, will listen to that and listen to their person and do what's right for their family.
Yeah. Well, as always, whenever I stitch a video and give them the actual take that people should have, there are many more positive comments than negative. So,
Yeah, I hope they get to see all of those.
yeah, me too.
All right, well, let's get to our
Let's get
very exciting guest.
I'm fangirling.
Me too. Let's go.
All right.
Well, we are so excited, Andrew, to have you on with us. We're just going to fangirl out during this whole thing, so we just apologize. We are such fans of your work. And so introducing Andrew, the Planty Murse. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Andrew. I am a 50-year-old nurse who's been working in the field for I've nursed for 20 years, but I've been in healthcare for longer than that. So probably 27, 28 years now. Mostly ICU care. I worked in administration and at the bedside. I'm currently back at the bedside. Multiple patient populations. In addition to that, we'll talk more about this, but I first came onto social media to spread vegan recipes, so I'm an avid vegan.
I was trying to learn how to shuffle dance. That's what brought me to, and I didn't. I still don't know how.
Very good. I'll have to Google that. I don't know what that is. And then personal note, I just been married for 17 years. We've got 3 kids and a dog, and life is nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I know you're a busy guy and things are kind of crazy right now in all of the world. So
yes, it is.
It's not on my script, but now that you mentioned it, what brought you to veganism?
Brought me to veganism. So I watched a documentary called Forks Over Knives.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
You might have heard of it, and it was a documentary that showed what veganism can do for the body from a very nutrition/health point of view. It wasn't about animal cruelty or anything like that. And as a nurse and as someone who's always liked science, I thought that really kind of spoke to me. And I always like to cook, so I thought, what do vegans eat? Just salad? Like, what do you even do? So I went to the library, I got a cookbook, and I thought, oh, these look kind of weird. I never would have thought about that. And from day one, I just started cooking the recipes and really liking them and thinking, wow, it's almost like when you discover a new cuisine and the Indian food for the first time or something like that. It just kind of opened up a new world for me that I didn't know existed. And one day turned into 3 days, which turned into a week, which turned into a month. And then, as you know, if you start going to the gym, you can't go back because then it's like, well, I just put in a month at the gym. I just did all this work. So I kind of stuck with it, and I've been doing it now for 12 years. And, I've had a year here and there where I've kind of backtracked a little bit, but here I am 12 years later, and I feel really good.
So my husband and I watched, it wasn't that documentary, it was a different one, probably about a month before the COVID shutdown. And we had a freezer full of meat. And I said, well, I'll just give the meat to my daughter next time I see her. And we were on the West Coast at that time. And we started trying to do plant-based. And we did it for a few weeks, and it was doing pretty well. I was ordering whole food stuff and making some vegan recipes, trying to avoid like the processed crap, because I feel like you could be a vegan and you could eat vegetables, or you could be a vegan and you can eat processed shit that's not even real food. I was trying to do the healthy thing, and then the shutdown happened and we decided to go to our cabin. So I ended up throwing all that meat in a big cooler, and we jumped in the car and it was all over.
Sure.
It was done. And then I tried doing it again, as you know, Andrew, because I reached out to you about it just for a few days while my husband was out of town. And again, that was kind of like the foods that I was buying weren't really terribly healthy foods. So
did you stick with the vinegar pie? Did you try that again?
I did. The vinegar pie was actually pretty good, except the recipe is just freaking so old. I mean, it doesn't have any time to bake it, doesn't have the right measurements, and the pies in those days must have been tiny like the people.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so the filling was like this thick, but it tasted okay. It's like a lemon pie, really,
Oh,
but it was all right.
okay.
But so what I really want to know though is, so we did the same thing. Like we saw this and we're like, oh my God, this looks like we could be really healthy if we do this, change our diet like this. My husband has
Right.
lifelong high cholesterol since he was 18. And so what I really want to know is, it's been 12 years, and do you feel like your health has significantly improved since you went to the vegan diet?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I lost a bunch of weight. Not that I was fully overweight, but you can see it in your face and in your body. Um, my dandruff went away. My acne went away. I had more energy.
Really?
I was able to exercise with better recovery times. Just the gamut of everything that they say is going to happen did happen. And over the years, as I've kind of backslid, okay, this is a month of, we're just going to take a break and I just can't do it right now. Those things come back. The heartburn comes back. That so much happens. You feel an immediate consequence when you go back. So it's confirming to me that it's the way I want to live because of how I feel when I don't do it.
Do you know who the vegan teacher is?
No.
Sorry, Hallie.
No.
You don't know who the vegan teacher is? You got to Google the vegan teacher. Highly controversial.
Oh, is he?
She.
Oh, gee. Okay.
Yeah. She's more about don't eat anything with a face, and she's very judgmental of huge creators, and then that gets her into a lot of hot water. I think she's been banned off of TikTok multiple times, but she's still on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I don't care what people eat, but I am a proponent of people being educated about it. Like, I think you should know what you're putting in your body, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine. That's your journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sound like a social worker.
Oh,
Making informed decisions.
all right. That's a compliment.
Well, speaking of all of this, and 20 years in nursing is plus, you said, that's pretty impressive. What led you to be a nurse?
I got my first degree from the University of California at Davis in animal science. I was going to be a veterinarian. In high school, I worked in a pet store, and I thought that's what I want to do. Halfway through the program, and I'm not a country boy. Let's just say that. I was the only one without the 4-H belt buckle and the boots, and it just wasn't for me. And I thought it would be cats and dogs and all that kind of stuff, but you learn about farming, you learn about horses and cows and land area, and which is fine. So I got my degree in that, but I graduated and I thought, I don't know what to do with this. What do I do? So I was looking in the newspaper for a job just because I didn't know what to do. And they were offering classes to train nursing assistants for free. And I went there, and it was at a nursing home. I went there in my suit and tie, and I was so nervous, and I stood in line, and I'm like, is this where you go for the training for nurse? Like, are they even going to accept me? Like, is this a high demand sort of a thing? And she's like chewing her gum. She's like, yeah, you just stand over there. Like, go over there. I went over there, and I'm the only, person in a suit and tie, and they thought I was the teacher, but we all fell in love with each other, and we became nursing assistants, and it was at a nursing home, and I worked there for 3 years, and I loved all of my residents, and it was really rewarding. And so then I became a nurse thereafter.
Oh, that's so interesting, because I actually did the same thing. I looked in the paper, and that's how I decided to be a nurse.
Right.
But I had the background of, I had been a vet tech, vet assistant, worked in pet stores, kind of the same thing,
Oh my
like
gosh,
the animals.
that's really interesting.
Yeah. And then was divorcing my second husband and needed a job. So I looked in the paper and saw nurses, so that's how I got into it too. I was quite a bit older than you when I did it, but yeah.
Okay. Very good. Well, third husbands are probably usually the best. So good for you. And I don't think you're that much older than me either.
actually am. So,
Okay.
yeah. I was surprised to hear you say you were 50, and I saw your email this morning saying something about you're forgetful because you're old or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about old? You're like 40, if that. So
Yeah.
that vegan thing, man, it
Yeah, I
does
think it
wonders.
helps. Blueberry smoothie every morning. That I think that the antioxidants of that kind of contribute.
Well, so then from nursing home and aid, eventually you made your way to the ICU, which is a pretty seemingly intense job.
Yes.
How did you make your way and why have you stayed?
Well, when I got out of the nursing home, I applied for a hospital
When you
position.
got out of the nursing
You got out of the nursing
I
home.
escaped in my gown. My butt was hanging out. I applied to a hospital. They hired me as an assistant, a nursing assistant there, and that's where I completed my nursing program. And I went right into a job on the floor that I was a nursing assistant. It was a telemetry floor. And after about a year, I felt like I had learned everything. And I was always the kind of person who wanted to know everything, right? I want to know, like I'm getting a patient from the ICU and they were on a balloon pump. What's a balloon pump? I want to do that. I need to know what that is. And so I went to the ICU and stayed because I really loved how interesting the pathophysiology is, how all encompassing the care is, how you can have only two patients so you can really delve into what your patient needs and you can give more attention to each individual patient because you have more time with them. You have better autonomy in an ICU than you do on the floor. You have a better rapport with physicians than you do on the floor. And I really love taking care of families who have someone who's dying. I feel like I really like doing that. And so for all of those reasons, it was just a good fit for me. It's like when you know, you know. And because of that, I've always stayed, even through the pandemic when things, as you all probably know, got really terrible. But because I still had the love of what I was doing from even before the hard times during the pandemic, I'm still to this day staying where I am. And
Have
I'll
you
die
thought
there.
about going into hospice? I mean, because I could just see you as the best hospice nurse ever.
I never did until I got on social media, and now watching you and watching Julie, I think that could be my exit strategy from the ICU. I do love my 3 days a week though, so I don't know if that's possible, but I think that if I were to leave the ICU, that's on the short list of what I would probably do.
I think you'd be amazing at it.
And some
Thank you.
You'd be really
hospices
good at
have
it.
float nurses, so that's maybe possible, or
Okay.
admission nurses.
Yeah. I
All
mean,
right.
I'm a hospice nurse and I work 3 days a week, but I don't do direct patient care anymore. I'm a
Okay.
hospice quality nurse now, so I work from my cabin, actually. But we do hire. It depends too. Like some people need to do the full-time gig to have the medical insurance if you're carrying that for your family. But we
Sure.
do. Like my agency has float nurses. Sometimes there's bailer shifts where you just work like 2 12s on the weekend or, but I could definitely see you doing hospice. And I feel like what I love about your videos is that you are giving people a taste of like the dying process and what it's like to die from a little different perspective, but a lot of it really aligns with hospice.
Yeah,
I loved your video that you did about what CPR looks like.
so much.
I was just like,
Right.
wow. I mean, every patient should have to watch that video before they make their decision to be full code. I mean, that
Right.
was just a mind blowing video. And also want to just say, you are the funniest, not just the funniest nurse, but the funniest person while being educational on social media. I can't believe you don't have 1 million followers already. I love your videos. Like you're one of those creators that I will go after, your videos. I'll go look for them if I don't see them come on my FYP because you're so creative and your editing skills are incredible.
That's
I mean,
the most fun part of the process for me. So I spend the most time doing that.
Yeah, well, you are really, really good at it, and I don't even ever remember seeing any vegan recipe videos. You must have made the transition fairly quick. I've never gone back and looked at all your videos from the earlier times, but the
Sure.
first thing that came up on my page was, a nursing video.
Okay.
And right out of the gate, like you didn't have like, if you look back at my videos, they're so lame. They're really dumb. But
Okay.
yours are like right out of the gate. They're so well done, creative, and God, just really, really,
Well,
really
thank you.
good.
That's really nice to hear. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been a learning process, but um, it's interesting. Something comes to my mind, and I just go, "Why not? Just do it." Your best friend didn't buy you coffee, so show a video of them dead, and you pull your pants down and poop on their grave. Like, why not? Why not?
Well, that's
Yeah.
a great segue. Let's just get into the deep end here of don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be a
Okay.
dick.
So your latest video, this won't come out for a little while, but your latest video as of pretty close to Easter, you talk about some bad behaviors in the hospital, and it sounds like you're getting some flack for that video.
Right. So this is the first video that I've done, and I've only been on TikTok for a little over a year. It was January last year when I started. This is the first one where I could not keep up with the bad comments fast enough.
Wow.
Like I've always been able to catch them and like either respond to them or block them or whatever I needed to do, but it's just so unrelenting right now. I've never dealt with that before. So the video was basically talking about how your loved one in the hospital will probably get less care if the family member is being abusive to the nurse. And if you've watched my videos, you know that I do not put up with nurses being abused. That's a bunch of bullshit. I stand that ground, and I'm not going to back down from that. But a lot of people are taking it as if I'm saying I'm intentionally going to torture or withhold care from the patient to punish the family member. And what I'm actually saying is, if you're abusive, I'm just going to be around less. They're still going to get the care. I'm just not going to be sitting outside the room. I'm not going to be walking there on my free time. It's just because I've got to protect myself. Nurses have to protect themselves. But that's not being come across. It's not coming across that way.
Even though
Your
you said
video
that,
was,
you literally
perfectly clear.
said that in the beginning of the video. There are two kinds of care. There's the required care, and then there's the extra care. So right from the start, you said that, but then you have these people in there who are they live in their mommy's basement, and they like to troll and leave nasty comments. I
acknowledge too that anyone, if you're looking at TikTok or a newsreel or TV, you're looking at it through the lens of your personal experience. So if you've had a bad experience with a nurse, or your loved one has recently died, or you're a person of color who historically is been shit on by the healthcare system, and you come across this entitled white boy who says he's not going to give you a blanket, even though that's not quite what I said, it's easy to think that's what he's saying, and it's playing into everything you already believe about the healthcare system. So I don't necessarily blame anyone, and I'm struggling right now with, should I clarify? I kind of want to make another video to clarify and make it more, my intent more clear, but also I know Jen Hamilton just tried to do that, and now she's off TikTok because it didn't matter.
Right. I just thought, when you were saying that, it's exactly who I thought of was Jen Hamilton, when she was trying to say it's okay to do both, to be wanting your care to be what you want, and to be a nurse wanting to try to give you the care they feel like they need to give you. And then she did get really dumped on in her comments too, and has left.
And ultimately, the video, yes, it's about don't abuse your nurse, but it's also about, don't you want your loved one to get the best care? You're blocking me from giving them care by acting that way. I want to give them the care. I am being blocked by you. And that's not what people are hearing. So, this is, you caught me on an interesting morning, because this is the first time I'm in the headspace where I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is what J-Lo feels like right now.
And I hate to tell you, but it won't be the last time.
Okay.
Especially if you post on Facebook, because the Murdered by Hospice Facebook will definitely come after you.
I'm still in that group.
That's right. You said you were joining.
I joined that group because I couldn't believe it. but I got to get out of there now. I'm in a different headspace. I'm going to quit that
It's
group
hard.
today.
It's hard. Yeah, I mean, I think, well, also those people are, like I think I messaged you about this, those people, it stings because they're those people. They
Right.
are those people.
Right.
And I just saw, I was tagged in a video actually that I'm going to respond to. I haven't decided how I want to respond to it yet, but it's a family member who is videotaping the staff at a nursing home and saying, why can't I see my father? You won't let me see my father. And they're trying to explain that the power of attorney has given them a list of people who can see that patient, and
Right.
he's not on the list. And he's like really taking it out on them. And of course, I think the person that tagged me said something like, this isn't right. They should let him see him or something like that. And so my response is going to be similar to what yours was, probably that, listen, if you want people to be able to visit you when you're on your deathbed, then you need to make sure you communicate that to the person who's making your decisions for you, because otherwise they can just decide that no one is going to
Right.
come and see you. And the staff are just doing their job. They're just upholding a legal document, that's what
Right.
they're doing. And
there might be
so,
good reason that person's not on the list.
Yeah, he might have been a harmful person to that patient.
yeah,
But someone sees a clip, 20 seconds, they think, look what nurses are doing. They're just
yes,
keeping things
Exactly.
apart.
yeah, it's true. No, I love your video. I think it's spot on. I think the people who are responding, like I said, they're offended because that's their behavior. Like they're likely to be the ones who are going to be acting that way and actually preventing good care.
I thought about that, but there's quite a few nurses too who are like, I don't like the vibe of this. I would never withhold care from a patient, and I want to clarify more for the nurses.
Yeah,
Like, no,
yeah.
that's not what I'm saying. I would never do that. A person who does it is actually quite vile and should be called out, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, those are the ones that are a little more hard to swallow. Like when I get somebody who says, I'm a hospice nurse and your video is
Uh-huh.
really offensive. Of course, I'm going to always go check out their profile and see, are you really? Or are you user number 6, 7, 40 million digits in your
With no
username
picture,
with no picture and
and you
no
can't leave it.
followers
Yeah, and you
or
can't
one
message them
follower?
because messages are turned off.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. One follower, one following, one follower, like those ones I kind of like, meh, I don't know. But if
Okay.
it was somebody who legit was, you know, saying I'm a hospice nurse and I believe them and they're calling me out, that stings.
Yeah.
That's a little painful because it's like, ooh, don't like that. But so yeah, maybe
Yeah.
clarifying for nurses. I still think though, come on, like, you literally said, and if you're a nurse that doesn't identify with that video,
Right.
are you really a nurse?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or you're kind of contributing to the problem because nursing, after being a cop, the nursing is the next most assaulted profession.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a huge problem that is downplayed from everywhere to media to hospital administration. Like it's normalized.
yeah,
And if you're saying, well, you just got to go in there, it's just part of your job, and you're a nurse, you're contributing to that problem.
yeah,
You're being a martyr. You don't have to do that. We're being abused. Stand up for your colleagues.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, yeah. The nurse that accidentally killed a patient with a medication
Right.
error
Hmm.
and was found criminally guilty, and yet patients assault, even kill nurses,
Right.
and like the guy that killed the nurse in Eastern Washington, Doug, the hospice nurse. He was a home health nurse, but he used to be a hospice nurse. I knew him personally. He was on my team. He worked for my agency.
Mm.
And that guy had a mental health issue. And I don't even think he's doing any jail time. I think he just was mandatory mental health treatment. But I mean, nurses don't just get beat up, they get killed. Okay, so here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you had an encounter with a patient who was physically assaultive towards you?
That happens a lot. But I've never had a situation where it's made contact enough to cause damage. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
There's always enough people around to restrain them, get the drugs in them so that they stop it, whatever. But I've never, verbal abuse, yes. What is it, Tuesday? Yeah, of course. But I've never been hurt by a person, luckily. Colleagues are a different story, but myself personally, no.
Yeah, I've been attacked, and it's hard. And I wasn't physically hurt either, but I had a patient who grabbed me by the lapels of my jacket and shook me like a rag doll. And it didn't hurt me in any way. But in that case, he was somebody who was not cognizant, like he was out of it.
Right.
He had dementia or cancer metastasized to his brain or something. I don't remember what was going on, but he was confused and didn't know what he was doing. And that's a really tough situation too, because you get patients who they're not able to discern right from wrong. And so, that can be bad too. But family members, that's a little different because they should be able to know right from wrong. And I've had the same thing happen too. And I'm sure Hallie has with family members who are preventing, they're always going to get good care under our care, but they're preventing really great care or the extra care by being so demanding and rude.
Right.
By being dicks.
By being dicks.
Yes.
Well, they're just stressed. Why don't you just do your job and take care of them, Penny and Hallie? Why don't you just do your job? They're just stressed. You should understand. You're a nurse. Okay.
This is exactly why we wanted you on, because that start combined with what is obviously your amazing compassionate care, and it comes through in your videos so much because, in fact, this Don't Be a Dick video is the perfect example of both. When you're doing these funny sketches back and forth with yourself, which are friggin' hilarious, but then you're doing the reality check like the CPR. So this video is the perfect marriage of your style. But it's still, even when you're being funny, it's still clear that you're a very compassionate nurse.
Well, I'm very intentional when I script them too, because, like, for instance, this one of Don't Be a Dick, where he's asking for a blanket. And I'm saying, I can't do it right now. I put it in the script to say, I can come give you the blanket, but I'm in an emergency right now. Like, I'm always trying to give context so it doesn't look like I'm just like the kid who doesn't want to give you a blanket. Like, I'm always trying to say, or if I'm making fun of a nurse on a video, that's odd. Do I make fun of people on videos? I'm always trying to make sure that in the script, they're being so ridiculous that it's not that I'm making fun of all nurses, it's this behavior. Right. So I'm very intentional about what I say because I don't want it to get lost, and I just don't want to come off as everybody's a shit person, basically.
Speaking of shit, that's one of my favorite videos that you did too, was where you were portraying the different, like, what was it, like the Foley catheter? Wait, I'm trying to remember now. It was so funny. Yeah, I think it was like it was
different implements, and one of them you came up and you had like chocolate
thermometers.
Thermometers. That's what it was. Thermometers. Oh, that was so funny. And the rectal thermometer, the ending of that was just freaking gold. That was so funny. And even your videos that aren't doing like nurse skits, but like the one where you're doing the different social media platforms.
Oh my God.
Hilarious. I mean, I think what it is about your videos is that they just really resonate. They're so relatable, they're very relatable.
Yeah, I usually have a running list of 30 or 40 things that I want to do at any one time. But sometimes, and they're kind of in an order, like right now I've got the 2 or 3 that are swirling in my head are probably the next 2 that I'm going to do. But sometimes just something pops up at work and I'm like, this is what I got to do today. It's not on my list, but this is today's video. The one with, I don't know if you saw Poop Fingers, where I'm trying to help the guy who didn't want to wash his hands and he got his poop fingers.
Yes, I saw that one.
That was like, I'm doing this video today, and it took me like a minute, and that one took off. And it's like, I just made a video that took me 3 days to do, and I thought it was so great, got no views, and I did Poop Fingers, and it took off. Like, okay, you can't predict social media at all.
Story of my life. That's the story of my life. I can spend hours making a 90-second, because I always do over 1 minute now, 90-second
Right.
video. I spend hours on it, filming, editing, hair and makeup, all of it, and then it doesn't do anything, and then I do some quick little thing where I'm pretending to be dead and it gets millions of views. It's like,
Right.
God.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So did you act in high school, or was there ever any part of you that was into creative arts or performance or anything like that?
None of that. No, I was a nerd in high school. I was in all my AP classes, and I went home and did homework from the time I got home until I went to bed at 10 o'clock at night. And that was my life. I had no social life. I wasn't in sports. So no, it's just, my mom is artistic and creative, and she always had art supplies around. So I dabbled in that kind of stuff on the side, but it was never something I pursued professionally or in school.
No
So
stand-up comedy?
no stand-up comedy, a little bit of stage fright. I don't know if I would be good at that, but you know, maybe it's in the future. We'll see. I have to work up to it. We'll see.
Are you as funny with your patients as you are on social media? Like, do you?
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm,
no.
There's no
I'm
way. Come on.
professional. It's mostly all business. Like, I'm getting a little bit better, but it's interesting. People who work with me, some of them, they'll see 2 or 3 or 4 of my videos, and they even follow me, and then they have the epiphany one day. I just realized that that's you.
I have that
I've been
happen too.
following you. This is you. Maybe it's because I wear a hat in a lot of my videos. I wear a hat at work, but I guess my persona, and I think I'm funny to my close friends. I think in my close friend group, I'm the same person you see online. But with my patients, there's not a lot of snark and not a lot of silliness. It's a lot of business.
Probably in the ICU, I could see where maybe not, but I know for hospice, like many of my patients are funny and appreciated that I was funny.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of, I think once for one thing, when you're in the ICU, you're hanging by a thread. You don't know if you're going to live or you're going to die. And there's all these different things going on. Maybe they're not even responsive, but the family is going to be stressed out. They're trying to decide about treatment options, everything else, wondering where this is going. By the time they come to hospice and they get past that initial, like, oh, fuck, I'm on hospice now.
Right.
They kind of, they understand what their pathway is now. And it's almost like a relief to know. There's no more question. Is the treatment going to work? Should I keep doing the treatment? That's been answered for them. And so they kind of can almost, relax into it a little bit. And I've had many, many patients and families who were really funny and would joke with me and I would joke with them. And, dark humor is definitely a coping mechanism.
Sure, I can see that.
I can see where, but if I'm ever your patient, which if I end up in the ICU, I'm gonna have to write that down in my advanced directives, like transfer me over to the good, I think the good side of Idaho. Like there's a good side of Idaho and there's a not so
Hey
great
now,
side
don't
of Idaho.
isolate our Idaho listeners.
I want to be Andrew's patient.
He might be in hospice by then.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you could come and be my hospice nurse.
Okay, very good.
But you
Deal.
have to be funny. I want you to be
Okay.
funny.
All right.
Otherwise, forget it.
Okay, we'll do it. For you, I'll do it. For you,
Thank
I'll
you.
do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
I
much.
was surprised to hear that editing was your favorite part of those videos. That's my least favorite part of a video. And I'm not doing nearly as much as you are.
Yeah, scripting doesn't take very long. The longest part of scripting is actually sitting down and doing it. Once I sit down, it just kind of flows. The acting doesn't take very long, probably 20 minutes, but it's mostly changing my outfits if I have a lot of different characters, and that bringing supplies from downstairs to upstairs and then putting it all back when I'm done. But the editing takes long because lighting is a problem for me because I have glasses, so I don't have a ring light in front of me or any light in front of me because it reflects. So I've got ambient light, but I've got to change the lighting effect on my videos. Then I've got to, if there's multiple characters, I've got to splice it all together. And then I've got, and cut it together. And then I've got to add music and add sound effects. And I like to add stickers and I like to add text. And it's kind of fun to me. So it could probably not take that long, but because I'm so type A about the editing process, and I kind of like it. It takes a while too, and I'm intentional even about the music. I'm like, this video needs to sound like a circus accordion. So then I go through and I click all the 20,000 links about circus accordions until I find the exact right one that I want. So, it's kind of a passionate thing of mine, but that's why it takes so long.
Well, they're so good. You do such a good job at it.
We're
In
not
fact,
just
if you
gushing
want a
just
side
because.
hustle of editing, we have some podcast videos for you.
Yeah. We're not just gushing just because, like, really, truly, you are really great at this. I'm just shocked that you're not like doing some version of Scrubs that's better, because these are just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Honestly, you are so good. Like Hallie said, we're not just gushing, not just fangirling for nothing, because we've had other guests on too, and we've been like, oh, it's great having you on here. But with Andrew, it's like, oh, Andrew's coming. Oh.
We were fighting over who was going to say the questions.
We were. It's true.
Nice. Oh, that's really nice.
One of us always leads, and so we were like, no, I want to. No, I want to.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I'd have more followers if I'd started earlier. Like, I think a lot of people how long have you two been on social media? Because I just started after the pandemic, and I think pandemic beginning is when it kind of TikTok took off, and a lot of people just retreated to their phones.
Yeah, I started in, I want to say May 2020.
Okay.
Didn't post, I think my first hospice video I posted was like in June. I was actually doing dumb little trends and like I said, trying to learn how to shuffle dance. That was huge. That was all that was ever on my feed when I first got onto TikTok, was these shuffle dancers. And I'm just like, that looks so fun. But yeah, I don't know. It does tend to kind of wax and wane. Like you do get periods of time where you're not getting any views, you're not getting any followers, and then all of a sudden something will hit and you'll start getting more. And also TikTok will like replay things into the algorithm. So sometimes you'll all of a sudden be getting a bunch of new followers, and you look like, where are these people coming from? And then you see comments on a video that you posted a year ago, 2 years ago, back into the thing. One of the problems right now, of course, is the muting of the music. That's a problem. So you have to be careful about the music. But
something has definitely changed, because I had a video muted from, it's one of my top videos that I posted a year ago. A year has gone by, no problem, and then all of a sudden now it's muted. Like, yeah,
they don't want to pay Universal anymore. So that Universal came out and said, we're not going to let you use our music anymore. And even I just posted a dance trend video where I said, I'm not even going to bother learning the dance because I know TikTok will mute this video. And sure enough, as of 2 days ago, it's muted. Okay. And it was a trend. I mean, like, there are tons of videos on this particular music, and it's already gone. So that's a problem.
I don't know who I told, but I told them TikTok is like an abusive ex that you can't stay away from.
It's true.
Like, you kind of need them in your life, but they're bad for you, and they keep doing things to you, and you keep thinking, oh, it'll get better. The next time it won't happen like this the next time, but it keeps happening. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Definitely. I have a love-hate relationship.
Who we're interviewing, and they're like, oh, I'm not on social media. I'm like, stay off of it then. Don't come. Like, I want you to see this cool video, but also, if you haven't dug in the deep end yet, please, for your own sanity, don't do it now.
Right.
Yeah, and Hallie you haven't been on that long, right, Hallie?
I've been on since probably 2021, but I didn't start posting hospice videos until Penny jabbed me last fall when we met. She's like, Mark, we don't have any social workers. Get on there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
very good.
Yeah. So she keeps saying, oh, I'm flying under the radar and I like it that way. And I'm like, it won't be that way forever. I mean, sometimes
we'll see.
You still can gain followers. It just takes a little longer now, but but Andrew, I think if you look at your insights for that last video that you posted, even though there's a lot of hateful comments, I bet you'll see that you have a lot of new followers, and TikTok is now showing you how many followers your videos get.
Yeah.
So I bet you got a lot of new
I
followers
did.
with that
I got
last one.
got a huge bump, and it's nice, but I didn't make the video for that. But I definitely got a huge bump, and now I'm thinking, but was it worth it? Like, is it at what cost did it come? All the hate that's coming through. I'm struggling with that today, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it is hard. It is. You really do have to be able to just let shit roll off your back sometimes, because there is a lot of hate. And, people aren't as bad as they used to be. When I first got on, I was the first hospice nurse with any kind of following that was doing educational educational videos.
Right.
And people would literally call me a killer in my comment section, and I don't get that as much anymore. That's kind of gone by the wayside. I still sometimes, get really negative, still get negative comments, but you do have to, there are people who are sharing their journey with their child's terminal illness and impending death who get hateful comments. It doesn't matter who you are or what you post. There are people that are it's like that they leave nasty comments like it's their job. Like, they just do. And
now you have me thinking of Elise Myers.
Yes.
Yeah, we just talked about that the last
we did.
recording.
We actually, we talked about that last week, and how, that was really, really.
And I lost a mutual. I lost a mutual. That's my first time. Like, luckily it was private and in my own DMs, but I came to Penny because that was my first time. Like, something I said that was, perceived as hurtful. Luckily, I'm not getting the amount of pushback because I don't have nearly the amount of following. So that's why I want to stay under the radar.
Oh, I saw you post that, and I'm like, but who was it? Who?
It was anybody. I don't think. I mean, she has a decent following, but she's like a not in healthcare. So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
I got called out recently by a very, very, very large creator for being a hospice nurse and not posting about the death that's happening, the genocide, the death in Gaza. I'm a hospice nurse. I'm an expert in dying. I should be speaking about this. And he called me out. And he actually didn't call me out on his big platforms. He called me out on a smaller platform that he had created just to address the genocide. So I didn't get too much negative feedback from it. Few people in his comment sections were like, I agree, she's a hospice nurse, she should be talking about this. And I'm just like, dude, I was really disappointed, first of all, because I'd been mutuals with them for a very long time, and I felt like, why didn't you just reach out to me privately and ask me about this? And I would tell you, I'm a hospice nurse. I don't know shit about people dying in a traumatic situation. I'm not an expert in that kind of death. I'm not comfortable talking about that because I don't know enough about it. And, but it was kind of a sad situation to be, because I really admired his videos, I liked what he did. And I was just like, wow, that sucks. So parasocial relationships be one unpredictable bitch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I had a thought, but it went right out of my brain.
Right. That is okay.
No, I was just going to say, in fact, good timing. I was just thinking that we want to make sure we're honoring your time. So in this last few, 5-10 minutes, we want to give you the opportunity to say any extra things we didn't get to ask you. I mean, I feel like we could probably talk to you for hours, but to be fair to your time, we want to just give you that opportunity and let the people know where they can find you too.
So I am on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Same name on all of them, Planty Murse. I want people to know that is my only name, and that if you see Planty Murse 1 or Andrew White private chat, that is not me.
Glad you said that. I might have hopped in there.
Oh yeah, and you did explain the Planty part, but you didn't explain the Murse, which I love.
Oh, yeah. So Planty is because I'm vegan, and Murse is because I'm a male nurse.
Yes.
Murse is a word for a male nurse. So, and I don't know if Murse is a bad word. I said fuck it. That's what I'm going to call myself. I don't know. Is it a bad word? I don't know.
No.
I'm using it. So it's not a bad word. So that's where that comes from. I just want to say, nurses want to help you. Be nice. That's
Don't
what I
be a
want to say.
dick.
Yeah.
Dick.
Don't
Yeah.
be a dick. That's what you really want to say.
Yeah. Don't be a dick. But I also want to tell nurses not to be a dick too.
Yeah. And
That's true.
everybody else,
That is
don't be a
true.
dick to Andrew, or else.
Yeah.
Gee.
Yeah, nurses can't be dicks either. That's true. We need to be
Yeah.
nice. We need to do it. I mean, and to be fair, there are nurses who don't. I mean, I have called out nurses several times for belittling CNAs. That's one of my, or
Yes.
LPNs.
Yep.
That is one of my pet peeves. I started as an LPN and I really went off on somebody for belittling an LPN one time. And I've done it several times for them to belittling CNAs because we're all hopefully trying to do our best job
Right.
taking care of patients. And,
Right.
but I have worked with those nurses who sit on their butts and they don't answer the call lights and they go and find a patient is soiled and they walk down the hallway and look for the aide who's busy with somebody else instead of just cleaning the person up. And that is something that, fortunately, I worked with some really great nurse mentors who, dived right in, showed me how to do the work, and I did it. I would never let my patients sit in crap just to go find somebody else to clean them up. So,
Right.
so everybody must follow Planty Murse on all the socials because, yeah. I'm dying
You're
if
missing
I'm
out if
lying.
you're not following him.
Best videos ever. Educational, fun, funny, just amazing, really, and compassionate at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been an uplifting part of my morning. I needed it. So thank you so much. And I'm hopeful and confident that we're going to continue to have a great relationship and know each other for years and years and years. And if I'm ever in Washington, the three of us are going to find a place to have a drink.
Yeah, well, I don't drink, but I'll have water.
I don't drink that much either. I would just, whatever. We'll have vegan.
We'll have vegan food.
Oh.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay. Except for Holly, apparently.
I'll try.
Holly will have a cocktail.
I'll find something I can eat.
We'll find you. We'll hook you up.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
It was so great to have you on.
Of course.
And you're
Thank
welcome
you so much.
anytime. Oh my gosh, so much fun to talk to Andrew.
That was so fun. I just could talk to him for days.
I know.
Days.
I think we just threw out our entire question list. Forget it, because he's.
I know. We did. I'm sure we spent a whole lot of time talking about not healthcare related stuff, but I mean, he's just so fun. He's personable and relatable and funny. And
what people need to take out of this is they need to follow him because honestly, his videos for healthcare are freaking amazing.
Yeah, he is so good. I just really admire him. I don't fangirl a lot over other people, but I definitely was really looking forward to talking to him in person. And we're mutuals, and I've chatted with him before, but this was the first time, like an actual person-to-person conversation, and so fun.
I know. I've had a few people, like back when I was still active on Twitter, like my things, or people that follow me back. But when I saw Andrew follow me back, that's when I was like, "Oh, that's exciting."
Same, yeah, because I started following him before he followed me, I think. And then I was just like hitting his comment section a lot, thinking, "Come on, follow me back." And he finally did.
He's definitely got the inner workings of social work as I hear him talking. I love it.
A hospice nurse. I'm sorry. I don't want him to be a social worker. He needs to be a hospice nurse. He would make a phenomenal hospice nurse. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we could just gush forever, but we are going to be having some more great guests coming up, and
our own conversations about more educational things and more in-depth topics about hospice and death and dying.
Yes.
But until then, you all remember to live, because someday
We'll all be dead, 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 dead.